Alright, welcome to Howie's Reviews. Puppy and I watched the Apple Unleashed event today, and have to say it was pretty impressive for the most part. The big takeaway from the event was the MacBook Pro refresh. They start off with the many major improvements they gave the M1 chip for these beasts. They talk about how the old way of making chips was to have separate CPU and GPU, but there were downsides.
But the two-chip architecture requires much more power and cooling.
So to overcome this, they redesigned the M1 to combine the CPU and GPU.
This lets M1 Pro deliver up to 200 gigabytes per second of memory bandwidth, a massive 33.7 billion transistors, with 8 high-performance cores and 2 high-efficiency cores. For graphics, M1 Pro features 16 GPU cores, 8 more than M1.
But the M1 Pro wasn't the only chip announced today. They are going full into the M1 silicon with another called the M1 Max. Not to be confused with the M1 Max spelled M-A-C-S. This is M-A-X.
And doubles the memory interface once again. This delivers up to 400 gigabytes per second of memory bandwidth.
Okay, 400 gigabytes per second memory bandwidth. That's actually quite impressive.
And its die has a staggering 57 billion transistors, and doubles the GPU to a massive 32 cores.
Now we get into the actual MacBook Pro models.
And it comes in two sizes, a 16-inch model, and for the first time, a compact yet immensely powerful 14-inch model, which shares the same remarkable features and capabilities.
Yep, we went from a 13 and a 16-inch MacBook Pro to now adding a perfect 14-inch size. Now these being much more of a workhorse than the MacBook Air, they couldn't go fanless.
It can move 50% more air, even at lower fan speeds.
So I hope you weren't one of the few rare users that loved the touch bar on the previous MacBooks.
Users value the full height function row on the standalone Magic Keyboard, and we've brought it to the MacBook Pro.
What about ports, you ask? Well, Apple felt generous and gave us a few more this year.
That we're adding ports to the new MacBook Pro. There's an HDMI port, a Thunderbolt 4 port, an SD card slot. The headphone jack now has advanced support for high-impedance headphones. And there are 2 more Thunderbolt 4 ports. And yes, MagSafe is coming back to the MacBook Pro.
Talking about the display, and because Apple knows how much everyone loves their notch on the iPhones, they brought that to the MacBook Pro finally.
Expanded the display up and around the camera, making the top border 60% thinner, giving you even more screen real estate.
But in all seriousness, they took that gorgeous Retina display with 500 nits of brilliance and pushed it up to 1000 sustained nits with the new Liquid Retina XDR Display on here. They also brought...
We're super excited to bring ProMotion technology to the Mac, with refresh rates up to 120 Hertz.
So we've doubled the resolution of the camera to 1080p. And used a lens with a wider aperture that lets in more light.
Holy cow, they doubled the camera? That's 1080p? We've got 1080p, baby. Perhaps another 7 years they'll grace us with 4K webcams. Want to record music on your MacBook Pro? They enhanced the microphones with up to 60% lower noise floor.
Enhance.
They didn't forget about storage on these monster machines.
The super fast SSDs deliver up to a jaw-dropping 7.4 gigabytes per second of read speeds.
And we also get
fast charge for the very first time on Mac, so it can charge up to 50% in just 30 minutes.
Yeah, we covered a few things with this Unleashed event, and all are actually great upgrades and improvements. I hope you enjoyed this short recap of the Apple announcement. Be sure to tell me what you liked most about the keynote down in the comments. Was it the AirPods, the HomePod, the Apple Voice music service? Thanks for watching, especially if you made it to the end. And do me a favor, hit that like button and subscribe.